3-5 دور حوالين البيت كله راح، فوق 50 30 طفل، فوق 20 مرة في البيت. يا الله، مشهد بتقشعر له الأبدان.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, is paying today an official visit to Italy to participate in the G7 summit, which is being held in the Italian city of Bari. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the National Community Abroad, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, has emphasized the convergence of the positions of Algeria and the Sultanate of Oman on the major issues of interest to the Arab world, foremost among which is the Palestinian cause, hailing the success of economic cooperation between the two countries. The World Health Organization, WHO, has revealed that more than 8,000 children under the age of 5 have been treated in the Gaza Strip for acute malnutrition and 28 have died. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Zmeni. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, is paying today an official visit to Italy to participate in the G7 summit, which is being held in the Italian city of Bari till next Saturday. A press release from the Presidency of the Republic said that President Tebboune's participation followed an invitation extended by the President of the Italian Council, Ms. Giorgia Meloni. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has emphasized the convergence of the positions of Algeria and the Sultanate of Oman on the major issues of interest to the Arab world, foremost among which is the Palestinian cause, hailing the success of economic cooperation between the two countries. In his speech at the opening of the 8th session of the Algerian-Omani Joint Commission in Algiers, Ahmed Attaf welcomed the promising and beneficial dynamic that the Algerian-Omani relations have been experiencing recently, which heralds a brighter future that serves bilateral relations and the causes of the Arab Muslim nation. He underlined the targeted content and well-defined goals agreed upon by the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and the King of the Sultanate of Oman, Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said, adding that the holding of the session will give new impetus to the already good historical relations linking the two countries.
The holding of our joint committee today came as part of the implementation of the lofty instructions of President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said, who both emphasized the necessity of activating the mechanisms of bilateral cooperation to give further impetus to the historical relations binding our two brotherly countries. I sincerely believe that this session has achieved the desired goals on many levels. This session constituted an opportunity to strengthen political consultation and bilateral coordination in order to enshrine our two countries' consensus, convergent views and positions regarding the rapidly deteriorating developments surrounding us.
In this respect, the Minister welcomed the exceptional level reached by the traditions of political consultation and coordination between our two brotherly countries at different levels and on all levels. Mr. Attaf also hailed the convergence of the two countries' harmonious positions on the major issues facing our Arab region, foremost among which is the Palestinian cause, which Algeria and the Sultanate of Oman have always supported and defended, particularly during the difficult ordeal being endured by the Palestinian brothers in Gaza as a result of the Zionist aggression that continues unabated.
I cannot miss the opportunity to commend the convergence, harmony, and alignment of our two countries' positions towards the main cause of our Arab region, foremost among which the Palestinian cause. Both Algeria and the Sultanate of Oman have consistently stood in solidarity with and supported this cause, especially in light of the serious ordeal endured by our brothers in Gaza due to the ongoing Israeli aggression against them. I believe that this harmony, convergence, and alignment are not unfamiliar to our two countries, both of which are imbued with the principles of international law, which reject the policies of polarization and alliances, and which constantly strive to contribute to resolving conflicts and disputes through the application and promotion of peaceful political solutions.
Mr. Attaf also stressed that the session allows to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of bilateral relations, which he described as very positive, hailing on the occasion the success of economic cooperation between the two countries, in particular the exemplary partnership in the production of fertilizers, a partnership that the two countries intend to strengthen and extend to other areas such as renewable energies, Saharan agriculture, the pharmaceutical industry, mining resources, and many other areas that are priorities for both countries.
This session has allowed us to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of bilateral cooperation in various fields, which was highly positive, particularly that the Sultanate of Oman is among the largest Arab countries investing in Algeria in fields that can truly be described as strategic. Moreover, this session has enabled us to identify new priority areas for bilateral cooperation. These areas are of utmost importance to both our countries and their current development efforts, such as renewable energies, pharmaceutical industries, mining resources, desert agriculture, among other fields.
In this context, the Algerian foreign minister welcomed the meeting between a delegation of major Omani investors and their Algerian counterparts on the eve of the Joint Commission meeting, urging them to seize every promising opportunity to strengthen constructive cooperation and consolidate the fruitful partnership between our two countries, underlining his readiness to provide all the necessary support to increase the volume of bilateral investments and double the value of trade.
This session has allowed us to involve the actors and economic operators from both the Algerian and Omani sides with the aim of urging and encouraging them to seize available opportunities to implement joint investment projects, following suit to the exemplary partnership that links us in the field of fertilizers production. Furthermore, agreements have been reached to continue negotiations on a significant number of important agreement projects, which are expected to be signed during upcoming bilateral events before the end of the current year.
For his part, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Sultanate of Oman, Badr bin Hamad bin Hamoud Al Busaidi, said that this meeting bore witness to the depth of the values of fraternity anchored between the two countries and peoples, hailing the age-old relations between the two countries to which His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq and his brother, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, attach great importance. He added that the session comes as an extension of the process of cooperation established between the two countries and the prospects favourable to the renewal of the common vision for a future rich in partnerships in the sectors of economy, industry, investment, food security and renewable energy.
We highly appreciate the efforts of Algeria and its relentless endeavors in the Security Council to find a means to halt the Israeli aggression and allow the entry of humanitarian, medical and relief aid. We reaffirm our support for these efforts and committed to working towards granting the Palestinian people the right to establish an independent Palestinian state with full sovereignty and with Al-Quds as its capital in line with the June 4, 1967 borders, and that it becomes a fully fledged and active member in the United Nations.
Finally, the Omani minister praised the resistance of the Palestinian people, victims of genocide, expressing his great consideration for the efforts led by Algeria and its constant efforts within the Security Council to stop the aggression, Zionists, and the delivery of aid to the Gaza Strip.
Throughout the ages, this relation has never encountered any obstacles likely to undermine it. This motivates us to make more efforts and further invest in this exemplary bond that unites our two countries and peoples. I'm confident, Your Excellency the Minister and the esteemed attendees, that the future will witness a greater dynamic cooperation and partnership in other topics, fields and sectors that have been tackled.
It's worth noting that Algeria and Oman signed 2 agreements to boost cooperation in social, scientific, legal and environment fields, as well as 2 programs related to youth sports and archives. Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi has received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Sultanate of Oman, who is visiting Algeria. The meeting was an opportunity to hail the bonds of brotherhood and the relations of cooperation linking the 2 brotherly countries, while affirming the common will of the 2 countries' leaders and to promote bilateral cooperation at high levels to live up to a fruitful and beneficial partnership for both parties. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, has received in Algiers the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Omani company Abraj Energy Services, Saif bin Saeed Al Hamhani, as well as a delegation of Omani businessmen on a working visit to Algeria as part of their participation in the proceedings of the 8th session of the Algerian-Omani Joint Commission and the Business Forum held on Wednesday. On the instructions of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Secretary-General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Lounas Megraman, has paid a visit to Qatar in his capacity as personal envoy of the President of the Republic. Lounas Megraman was received by the Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani. The statement said, adding that the meeting had enabled the 2 parties to review the privileged bilateral relations at all levels and to demonstrate the shared desire of the leaders of the 2 countries to promote them further, notably in anticipation of upcoming high-level bilateral meetings. Now, Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi has chaired a government meeting devoted to examining legislations and making presentations relating to several sectors, according to a press release issued by the Prime Minister's office. The details with Mohammed Khatil.
The government examined a draft executive decree laying down the procedures for clearing production lines and equipment, as well as agricultural equipment and materials, through customs as part of the measures decided by the President of the Republic to support and assist investment and modernize agricultural activity, notably by enabling economic operators to take advantage of the opportunities offered by international markets in this field. As part of the implementation of the decisions taken by the President of the Republic during his visit to the province of Khanshla on May 30th, 2024, relating to the opening of registrations for the ADL program on July 5th, 2024, the government examined a draft executive decree amending and supplementing the conditions and procedures for acquiring public housing built under the hire purchase scheme. The aim of this draft text is to guarantee optimum management of the process for benefiting from these housing units, from registration of the application via the electronic platform to the transfer of ownership of the housing unit to the beneficiaries. The government also examined ways of strengthening the regulatory framework relating to medical cover for the poor, needy, particularly with regard to guaranteeing immediate and regular access to medicines, especially for people suffering from chronic diseases. The government also continued examining the regulatory rules for the creation of the National Public Equipment Agency and heard a presentation on the measures taken to ensure the supply of drinking water, as well as a presentation on the progress of the 2023-2024 harvest threshing campaign, which provided an opportunity to review the various measures taken to supervise and support this operation through the mobilization of all the necessary resources by the public authorities. Finally, the government adopted a draft program aimed at encouraging startups through training and drawing inspiration from successful experiences and models around the world, and implementation of the instructions of the President of the Republic aimed at developing the knowledge economy and accelerating technological innovation in our country.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, has addressed a message of condolences to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Kuwait, Abdullah Ali Al Yahya, following a fire that set ablaze a building in the locality of Mangaf in Kuwait, a sister country, causing several victims. Ahmed Attaf expressed his sincere condolences and fraternal compassion to his Kuwaiti counterpart, praying Allah Almighty to grant the victims his holy mercy and a speedy recovery to the injured. The Minister of Finance, Laziz Fayed, has received the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, Ms. Rula Dashti, accompanied by a large delegation from her institution. The meeting was an opportunity to explore possible avenues of cooperation between Algeria and her body in areas of interest to the Ministry of Finance. The discussions focused notably on the improvement of public finance management and its importance for sustainable development and the sustainability of economic growth objectives, which are based on effective management of public resources. Now, the Minister of Labour, Faisal Bentaleb, has said in Geneva that Algeria has built a renewed social pact in the framework of the constants and principles set out in the proclamation of November 1st, 1954, on which the state is based. The details in this report.
In a speech during his participation in the 12th session of the International Labour Conference, Faisal Bentaleb said that Algeria has built a renewed social pact within the framework of the constants and principles on which the state is based, and fundamentally those set out in the proclamation of 1st November 1954, notably the social nature of the state and respect for fundamental freedoms without racial or religious segregation, adding that the document laid the foundation for Algeria's commitment to just causes throughout the world. According to the minister, the 2020 constitution established the pillars of the social pact under the banner of the new Algeria, thus responding to the society's ambitions to bring about profound socio-political changes that will enshrine freedom and democracy, guarantee fundamental rights, and strengthen social justice in addition to the right against corruption, while ensuring the participation of all citizens in the management of public affairs. He also laid special emphasis on the fundamental rights of workers, the right to protection, safety, hygiene, rest, social protection, and the protection of children against exploitation, as well as on strengthening the exercise of trade union rights and the right to strike. On this occasion, Mr. Bentaleb called on the international community to put an end to the war machine which flouts all international principles and charters, and to allow Palestinian workers who, like the rest of the Palestinian people, endure the worst forms of repression, blockade, injustice and famine, to enjoy their rights as provided for in international charters, and to support them in establishing their free and fully sovereign state with Al-Quds as its capital.
As we seek coexistence among the peoples of the world within a renewed social contract, the Palestinian people are experiencing the worst form of oppression, siege and injustice and starvation in light of a systematic war of extermination in which the most basic human rights are absent. For this, we urge the entire international community to put an end to the war machine that ignored all the international principles and charters, to spare the lives of our Palestinian brothers and enable the Palestinian workers to exercise their rights stipulated in international conventions, and support them to establish their independent and fully sovereign state with Al-Quds as its capital.
Finally, the minister pointed out that in the quest for coexistence between all peoples as part of a renewed social pact.
Members of the national community settled abroad have welcomed in Algiers the commitment of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to protect and associate his or this community in the construction of the new Algeria, highlighting the main achievements made in recent years. In their interventions during a conference entitled The National Community in the Heart, organised by Radio Algeria International as part of the Citizen Meeting series of the Algerian radio at the Issa Masoudi Cultural Club, members of the National People's Assembly representing the diaspora and activists from the associative movement highlighted the close link between members of the Algerian community abroad and their motherland and the concern to reflect a faithful image of it, participate in all national issues and related decisions and contribute to economic development. They also welcome the important decisions taken by the President of the Republic in favour of the national community abroad and his commitment to protecting it and associating it with the building of the new Algeria. The World Health Organization has revealed that more than 8,000 children under the age of 5 have been treated in the Gaza Strip for acute malnutrition and 28 have died. A significant proportion of the population of this Palestinian territory, which is the subject of an unprecedented Zionist genocidal aggression, is now facing a catastrophic level of lack of food and conditions bordering famine, explained the head of WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, during a press briefing in Geneva.
A significant proportion of Gaza's population is now facing catastrophic hunger and famine-like conditions. Despite reports of increased delivery of food, there is currently no evidence that those who need it most are receiving sufficient quantity and quality of food. WHO and our partners have scaled up nutrition services. Over 8,000 children under 5 years old have been diagnosed and treated for acute malnutrition, including 1,600 children with severe acute malnutrition. Due to insecurity and lack of access, only 2 stabilization centers for severely malnourished patients can operate. Our inability to provide health services safely, combined with the lack of clean water and sanitation, significantly increased the risks of malnourished children. There have already been 32 deaths attributed to malnutrition, including 28 among children under 5 years old.
During a UN session held lately, the representative of Algeria to the UN, Mr. Benjama, has said on behalf of the A3+ group that the use of chemical weapons is crime and that must be punished, acknowledging the major role of the tripartite agreement among the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, UNOPS and Syria.
The A3+ reiterate their firm belief that the use of chemical weapons anywhere, by anyone, and under any circumstances must be condemned, and punity for such a crime under international is not acceptable. The A3+ encourages the Technical Secretariat to continue its effort to clarify the Syrian Arab Republic's declaration by addressing the identified gaps and consistency or discrepancies that remain. To this end, we acknowledge the important role of the tripartite agreement between the OPCW, UNOPS, and the Syrian Arab Republic in facilitating the Secretariat's activities regarding the full elimination of the Syrian chemical weapons program.
That was Algeria's representative to the UN, Mr. Ammar Benjama. Stay tuned to Radio Algeria International.